want to take a minute to go over all the changes I did. So this thing is ready to go. I'm about ready to put it back in the engine bay. So the main changes, obviously, on the engine is I revised my wastegate setup, so no longer has that tiny little 44 millimeter normal MBR wastegate. Now it has this huge Turbo Smart straight gate, so that's going to work way better. I changed the angle of my turbo a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't leak oil into the cold side anymore. I now have a 3.5 inch downpipe all the way out, which is going to hopefully flow a little bit better. I added an EMAP gauge port, so this stainless tubing will go to my exhaust back pressure gauge. I'm gonna have heat again, so I ran my heater core lines to the left side of the turbo away from all the hot stuff. So I'm gonna hook that back up. I still need to, unfortunately, swap out the heater core in the old Audi over there. So I can pull the dash all out for that, but at least I have the hoses there for when I'm ready to do that. Got all the pipes rewrapped, I think as good as they need to be. I swapped out my stock head bolts that I originally removed my ARP head studs to get to the machine shop. They never worked my engine, so I had them sitting in the bag, so I was like, yeah, why not? I'm gonna be running like over 40 pounds of boost. So I was running about 43, 44 on the old, with the old wastegate and the old setup. So I put my head studs in just to make sure I'm not gonna, lift the head or anything when I start pushing it. I changed my belt routing, so I got a new belt right here. So here's the new belt. Thanks to Dave Vina for sharing this information with me. But when I posted my picture of my old setup with this power steering pump delete bracket that I designed and had made, I was getting my belt was not surviving. I don't know if the angle was a little bit wrong, but you can see some residue left over here. Unfortunately, my belt, I went through like 2 or 3 belts and I only drove like 2,000 or 3,000 miles. So something was wrong. I don't know if this pulley just wasn't strong enough or what. I mean, I used a laser, everything was lined up, it worked great from the perspective of the laser, but obviously it wasn't working. So all I'm gonna do is run a short belt. So the belt's gonna go around the old fan clutch, which I'm gonna delete the clutch part off of. It's gonna go around the AC pump or the AC compressor, around the fan pulley, down to the alternator. It's gonna go up, so I added this. So this is just a timing belt tensioner pulley that I found that was like the right dimensions. And it's gonna basically force the belt up and hug the crank pulley, and then it'll run around the AC. So I'm gonna loosen this up when I go to install the other belt. So hopefully that'll give me the slack that I need. Not really sure how else to do it. Maybe I could pull the radiator or the alternator, that would be a pain. I was trying to figure out if I could put a tensioner in here somewhere. I could probably pull off this pulley here and design a tensioner setup that would bolt in place of this pulley, but I didn't feel like screwing with it. And the pictures and the text that I got from Dave said, it was working for 5,000 miles, no issue. He runs it up to 8,000 RPM, so should work for me too. So we're gonna give that a shot. So I refreshed my valve covers, gaskets, put new valve cover gaskets in with my head studs, and I repainted my valve covers. I repainted my intake manifold, wherever I put that. That was sitting over there against the wall. Shop's a mess. I was having some issues only when I didn't have the coupler on perfectly, and with it crammed in the engine bay, it's really hard to see the backside of the coupler and make sure it's actually on the clamp properly and all that. So I had some issues with this thing blowing off a few times, and it's 4 inch, so it's pretty big. So I just took the compressor cover off, welded on a 4 to 3 inch transition, and now I have one of those Wiggins style turbo clamps or intercooler pipe clamps on there. And then I just have to build a new intercooler piece that'll run back here. So hopefully that clears brake booster and everything fine. We'll find out in a little bit. One last thing, it's in the mail. I got an adapter that basically you can pull this coolant sensor out. So this would be for the after run pump. So I'm gonna pull this coolant sensor out and it'll adapt down to 1/4 inch MPT or 1/8 inch MPT, whatever I need, so that I can install my aftermarket it's a dual pressure and coolant temp sensor for my standalone. And then I'm gonna keep the factory sensor on this side for the gauge cluster, so that all works normal. And I did have to get a little bit creative with this solenoid. There's some space there, but basically I had to wrap the wiring, and then I put some silicone, it's like a fire sleeve with insulation on the inside, and then I kind of metal zip tied it in there so that it wouldn't go anywhere. And then I have heat shielding on this side as well, so hopefully that deals with my heat just fine. Yeah, I think we're about ready to drop this thing into the engine bay. Let's go back over to the engine bay real quick. Take a look over here. So one of the things I still need to do is with the 3.5-inch pipe here. Now I need to massage this a little bit because this gets a little bit tight. So I need to hammer this in a little bit. It'll be all right. I'm gonna redo my fuel pressure regulator setup. So I do need to take that out, and I gotta find a new home for my Weldon fuel pressure regulator. And then let's see here. I made my power steering pump, or excuse me, my power steering rack bracket. So it bolts to both sides of the shock towers here. So that should work pretty good. Let's see. And I had to cut it back. It was a real pain in the butt. Did have to buy a tube notcher so I could make it nice back there. So I had to notch that tube on there. But yeah, it came out all right. And I also welded in some plates to the sheet metal here first, and then welded plates on the end of the bracket. That way I could bolt everything together. That way if I ever need to pull this booster out, it should come out no problem. I don't know if it needs to come this way at all. And with this pipe straight across, it would have been too tight. So I wanted to make it removable. Yeah, I think that's about it. So now we're gonna install this guy over here. Stay tuned. Check it out. Here's the clearance. Loads down. The wastegate can still go lower too. You can see, like the wastegate can go way lower. But yeah, there's clearance. So somehow I made this all fit in here. Pretty happy about that. All right, so I'm gonna start building the intercooler piping here. Obviously, I don't have the front end on. You can see the new belt layout set up. So my goal for the intercooler piping is I'm gonna put on these Van Buren, basically core support right here. And I'm gonna try and get this intercooler piping to kind of flow in through here, underneath the throttle body. Since I don't need this anymore, I can take it off. This was my old power steering pulley bracket, delete bracket. So I can pull this off so I have a little bit more space. I'm gonna try and squeeze this 3-inch pipe. I'm gonna go from 2.5 to 3-inch right away with an adapter. And then I'm gonna bring this across the front here. And then I'll do a 90 straight back. I might actually try to sneak it up here and down. I'm not sure exactly which way. I gotta see how much hood clearance I have. You know, when I have the hood down. Can't put it down right this second because this stuff's kind of in the way. I guess I could bring this over. And basically I need to see if I can kind of fit a 3-inch pipe up through there. So in this section, and it kind of looks like I can. I have one right here. So if I get my kind of my 3-inch pipe here, let's kind of set it there. Let's see what happens when I bring this hood down. Yeah, looks like it fits. Plenty of clearance. So yeah, I will be able to snake a 3-inch pipe kind of over top of that. So that's the goal there. And then obviously we need to build our way back to here. So I need to get some of this stuff out of the way. And then this will be easier. I'll just build a section right back here. It'll probably angle up a little bit and sit up here. So I'll do a 40, maybe like a 30-degree up. And then, cause it's getting kind of tight here. And then that way it's kind of sitting above here, and I can come straight over here. The one thing I will have to keep in mind though, is I need to make room for the plumbing that comes out of here, which is gonna come run down the driver's side here. So yeah, I got a couple things I gotta watch out for. We'll make it work. So I got the intake manifold installed, got my new Vibrant Quick Connect throttle body adapter installed, got my fuel rails in. So the intake piping is done from the little turbo to the big turbo. So the big turbo is gonna flow through this 3-inch tube, silicone coupler there, down through here, and then all the way back where it connects to a quick connect fitting back there. So that'll be nice. And then I'm gonna reuse this pipe here off of this guy, because this worked fine before. So I'm gonna this won't be here like that. So I'm gonna reuse this, and then I'll have a silicone coupler from here, just because it works out real nice. And then, yeah, so that's kind of what she's looking like so far. So this will kind of be like what the top end, or excuse me, the engine bay looks like. Here's what the Van Buren core support looks like. So you get these separate tabs that go on top of the radiator. They mount to the top here. It fits really good. I'm happy with it. This should give me a little bit more clearance. So I'm getting ready to mount up, pull that off. I'm getting ready to mount up my condenser, and then I'm gonna mount up, I have to make some brackets to hold up my new intercooler that's sitting over there. Sorry, the shop's a mess right now. I'm in a mad scramble to get this thing done before Dyno Day on April 7th. Yeah, I should probably clean up the shop a little bit. But yeah, we're getting pretty close here. And then I can, this is the old pipe that came off the small turbo, and that'll go into the intercooler. I'm probably gonna remake that, just change up a couple welds and whatnot, but we'll see what I have in mind for that. But yeah, it's coming along. All right, so I'm getting ready to cut the top of this, the top end tank off of this, so that I can replace it with the center outlet, and then we're gonna see how it fits. All right, so we got the end tank cut off all the way. So now we just have to kind of clean this thing out real quick. I'm gonna stick the leaf blower on that end over there. We're gonna blow it out real good, and we'll clean it up on the inside. We'll get ready for welding on the top part. Do it. All right, you can see it's starting to take shape here. Got it kind of sitting up on my transmission jack in about the right position. I probably need to go up a little bit higher because I need to be 1 inch below this spot right here, this flat part. So let me get that ironed out and we'll see how it looks. Holy cow, I think I got it to fit. Bumper bolts are both in. I got these stupid, these came with the bumpers, the big holes here, so I have to use them. So I'll have to figure that out. Somehow I'll have to like figure out how to, this plastic. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so it actually does fit pretty good. So over here. I mean, they're not the worst. At least I could make the bumper come off nice and easy. But yeah, holy cow. So now I just need to make a small pipe that comes up and over here. So let's see how much clearance I have. Let's see, the hood's not. I don't know if the bumper's not on all the way or what. I'm gonna need to move the bumper shocks up a little bit, I guess. Yeah, because this core support needs to be adjusted. So I just need to move the bumper shocks up. And then that should fix that gap problem because the hood is all the way shut. And then I need to add in, I will need to also add in the air catch in order to keep the hood shut because I had to delete the center latch here. But progress, not bad, pretty wild. So I got the intercooler end tank mocked up and tacked on. I did get the one side welded already and it's coming out pretty good, so she's coming along. One side down. There she is. Welded up. So another piece I was able to complete, I welded up this 4-inch, it's like 245s, actually kind of 345s, because the one is a little bit off from a 45, but, so, let's see, this kind of fits in like this. This is gonna sit like this, and then the filter is gonna go right there. And then I have that 90-degree bend right there, so came out pretty good. Then I'm also working on making some, so here's an aluminum piece right here. I'm making some aluminum mounts to go down to that section there. So another change I had to make is I had to move my AC, whatever this thing is, expansion chamber or something like that. It was in the way of my intake, so normally it's about, this bracket's about 90 degrees. These two studs are pointing this way. So I basically bent the arm out this way to make room for my 4-inch intake. And I had to obviously weld up a couple 45s to make this intake. Fits really good though. And I have a much bigger filter on now than I had before, so I'm happy with it. All right, so the 16-inch fan was unfortunately too high. So if you compare that to the 12-inch fans, it's about an inch difference. So these are gonna fit much better. And I should be able to fit the two 12-inch fans side by side. So that's the goal. Oh yeah, look at all that clearance we got now. Plenty of room. Whereas the 16-inch fan was basically touching my pulleys, so that would have never worked. So these are gonna work great. These 12-inch fans fit really good. I did have to trim them a little bit right in the middle here. Very small amount to get them to both to fit. They would have been about, I don't know, like half an inch too wide. So yeah, you just trim a little bit off and then they end up fitting fine, just like this. So I decided to go with stainless steel 832 hardware to mount them, and I originally was going to just use one of those cheap Amazon fan zip tie kits. They basically come with these things, so I'm just using these things as a guide to pull through to find the location to put the screws in, because it just works better that way. And then yeah, so these plastic zip tie kits off Amazon are trash, so it is going to use stainless steel hardware. Working great. All mounted up and ready to go on. So you can see how much room we got. We have plenty of clearance between the fan and the pulleys. So if I would have used the other one, this part of the fan where the motor is would have been touching the pulleys, so wouldn't have worked. So real happy with these fans. Hopefully they blow cool enough. They're supposed to be 1200 CFM each, so should be enough. All right, here she is with the intercooler on. So next up, we're gonna fit up the bumper. All right, one of the benefits of having all this cut out back here is I can get my compressor housing off without removing the turbo, which is nice. So I forgot to put the O-ring right here. The Precision turbos have O-rings, so that would have caused a nasty leak. So I'm going to install my new O-rings. Well, one O-ring comes in a 3-pack.